Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Three Men and podcast, the podcast where three men share their views and experiences around just one topic each week. This week being, drum roll, because we're doing something new. Yeah, you guys.
I know. I'm excited. I've got a pen and paper ready so I can try and stay on track a little bit.
Looks like I'm dropping my nipples there, doesn't it? Sorry,
it does look like you're dropping your nipples.
So the topic this week is fitness, and I wanted
this
to
is
talk.
a good topic.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this actually because yesterday I got my first dose of AstraZeneca, and I was a little bit tired yesterday. And I feel a little bit today. So I thought we'd have a chat because I know that you've done some incredible fitness stuff, Mr. Alan Braithwaite, haven't you?
I try not to talk about it, Matt, but where do you want me to start?
I'm really enamoured by your trip across Chile, if I'm honest.
Okay. Well. Do you want me to? Because I can talk about this. I don't want to. Obviously, I'm not going to take over the whole podcast, but I'm more than happy to start because I have some quite specific thoughts on this. I don't class myself as super fit or anything like that. I've just always enjoyed doing these things. But if I'm really honest, it's more about mindset for me, fitness. So I've been in Scouts since I was 6, and that was always kind of night hikes, speed hikes, and sort of camping away and everything else. So I was always in that world of sort of just pushing boundaries a little bit from the norm, I guess. And then about 14 was my first sort of weekend in the Brecon Beacons trekking. And it absolutely destroyed me. I remember, right, so for those who don't know, the Brecon Beacons aren't that high. But I remember having a conversation with the instructor about, was I suffering from altitude sickness? Right, I'm 14 years old. This is 1989 or 88, something like that. And they were like, yeah, Alan, perhaps you are, or perhaps you're just a bit unfit. Anyway, so how these things work for me is then all of a sudden sort of you build up, you start a gym, you do a bit of running, or I know what it's, I was doing a lot of mountain walking, and then I went, well, this is taking too long. So why don't I start running? And then you start kind of doing the odd 10K and you run around the block, and this builds up. And then before you know it, this is going to sound crazy, before you know it, you're doing 6 marathons back to back across the driest desert in the world, right? Or the highest desert or whatever.
Can I ask, Alan, did you get altitude sickness in Chile?
No. So I've done Kilimanjaro in the past, which is just under 6,000 meters. And I definitely had a bit of a headache there, but I wouldn't say I had true pulmonary edemas or altitude sickness or something like that. I think pulmonary edema is actually quite serious. I would have known. But it was horrible. I remember Kilimanjaro being horrible. But the Atacama, I think we only went to about 3,100 meters.
Did you feel the breathlessness though? Because when I went
to
Chile,
sorry, go on.
No, when I went to Chile, that was one thing that I really struggled with, was the lack of, I felt it was the lack of oxygen. But I was on like the 70th floor in my hotel. Everyone else was on like the 20th floor. So when I got to the top, I was like, I couldn't catch my breath. I felt like.
And would you have? Sorry, go on.
No, go on. Would I have?
Would you have classed yourself as fit when you were doing that? Because if
no.
No, because I know there's a pause. When you were serving, I don't know if you were like ripped with a 6-pack and like running with a whatever SA80 on your shoulders and a 110-litre Bergen. I can speak the lingo.
I don't know why there, Alan. I just got an image of Matt squatting then with a 6-pack then from the story on episode 1. Yeah.
Oh yes, exactly. A 6-pack of beer.
Yes. Sorry, Matt. Carry on.
I was at polar opposites in the army. At one point, I was doing biathlons and triathlons, and I was super fit, and I was beating times around the track and all that type of stuff. And then when I came back from the Falkland Islands and serving 9 months there, I came back the heaviest that I've ever been in my life, and then had to go on to circuit training. When I say the heaviest I've ever been in my life, I am at that point now, just to put that into... So
I'm the second heaviest I've been. Actually, funny enough, you say that. I'm the second heaviest I've been for a long, long time. So...
Same with
me. Interesting.
Yeah.
Are you, Ricky? Is this all lockdown paunch as well for everybody?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Can we blame it on that? Yeah, I'm happy to blame it on that.
well, I was going to say something there about the altitude sickness. So I haven't done it in a long time because there's been a global pandemic. I don't know if you know that, guys. So we can't travel. But we were very much into mountain climbing as well. So me and Danielle, we've done Scaffold Pike, Ben Nevis and Snowdon. But we actually climbed Machu Picchu about 4 or 5 years ago. And
Very cool.
that breathlessness, I felt that on day 2. Here's a funny story for you. Now, this obviously, you've got to be very careful when you leave Peru, because obviously it's a country that is well renowned for drugs, right? But there's something they have called cocoa leaves, which is kind of like cocaine. Pretty much, that's what it turns out to be. And on day 2, I was struggling. It was like 6 hours of just going up a hill, 6 hours. And I was really struggling to get to like one of the checkpoints. And one of the ladies came down and just gave me this liquid and says, "Here, put this in your hand and then just sniff it." And I had to sniff it, and it's supposed to make you go, "Oh, ah." And I don't know, it didn't really do anything, but yeah, I was like, yeah, that's it, David.
What's this music, Danielle? Let's keep going.
Yeah. But on the next day, like, to get your energy, they gave you some cocoa leaves. Yeah, so you had to put it in your mouth and chew it, which is like you basically chewing cocaine. So I was shit scared leaving Peru.
Sorry, can we just all right, I know I've interrupted you, Ricky.
Yeah.
But last episode you're discussing Hitler, and this episode you're discussing drug taking.
Cocaine.
Can we
Explicit, yes.
Yeah. Can you put perspective on these?
Yeah, it's a running
the
theme,
worst
isn't
one
it?
here.
Running theme, yeah. So yeah, so basically it's like chewing cocaine. So I made sure I washed my bloody backpack like through and through on the way out, because I was thinking I'm not getting in the airport getting strip search for that. But I absolutely felt that breathlessness. It was horrible. I hate just climbing up. If you've ever gone to the gym and done those stepper things, it just knackers me out. I'm not a fitness man at all. Not at all.
See, for me, it is like 100% mindset, right? So, these people, you go, "Oh, I ran 10K at the weekend." They go, "Oh, I could never run 10K." And it's like, no, you could, right? It might take you a bit longer and your recovery may take a bit longer, but absolutely you could do it. And saying, "Oh, I could never do that," is like, just winds me up. Of course you can bloody do that.
Anybody can do anything.
Yes, Matt. Anybody can do anything.
Well,
Fact.
Am I going to offend people here? Well, I probably offended people, haven't I, since the last conversation with Hitler? But
You're the most offensive.
I am.
It's fair
Yeah.
to say. Yeah.
When you see those pictures on Instagram of people saying, "I've just ran 10K," and it's like a really funny picture. Isn't that just a weird thing, a weird concept to do? I don't want to offend anyone, because I've done it in the past as well. But it's like, great. Cool. What do you want me to say about it?
But that's got to be no different to us sharing in our businesses.
True.
I think I always come back to the 7 billion people in the world. I think I've done this before. We're all different. So there's going to be a large proportion who just think we're all knobheads, right? But there's going to be some who quite like us, and there'll be some of those ones who quite, some of those ones who quite like us, who then could become clients in our business, right? So it's just it's an averages game on literally everything. I think we all presume in the world that we all like the same thing. It's like the one of the greatest things you can learn is that everyone's different, and just accept it and don't try and work it out. So apart from everyone can do anything if they put their mind to it.
They can do anything,
Yeah.
and that was something that I learned very early on. I mean, the last big fitness event that I did was probably Bournemouth half marathon, and I set out. And I've never run a half marathon before, never run a marathon. And I thought, I've run the Great South Run, which is, I think, is it 10K?
10 miles, Great South Run.
Is it 10 miles? So I did that. I've done that twice. And then I thought, I need to step it up. I need to go the half marathon. And I did train, but I wasn't training like I've never run that distance before. And I've never run it since the half marathon. So I think you're supposed to train like to that distance, aren't you? When you're training, you're supposed to run like 8-10 miles quite regularly before you do a half marathon. I could run. I think I could probably run maybe 3 or 4 miles now, but that's about my limit. And then I'd start having to have a walk.
No, you'd be able to go further. You'd just be more like plodding along rather than running like a gazelle. So.
I ran like a gazelle. So when I entered, this is a funny story. When I entered the Bournemouth half marathon, during the registration, they say, "What time are you expecting to complete?" and me never running like a half marathon before, I thought, I can't be that much longer than the 10 miler. So I looked at my last time that I did for the Great South Run, which was probably 4 or 5 years before. And then I added on maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So when I started, I was actually in the second wave, behind the competitive runners. So I was at the front, and all the competitive runners like warm up religiously. They're doing their stretches. They do little short laps of the field, which is close by, just so they can get their bodies. I was just there, and I was thinking, maybe I should stretch. So I started doing some lunges, and you start doing things. And this is the is like sheep following sheep and lemmings. You start doing things with the crowd around you because you think, oh, well, maybe I should do that. So for about 20 minutes, we're in this second wave, warming up, and I was just doing jogging up back and forth, lifting my heels to my bum, and then everybody set off. And I will never ever put myself in that wave again, because the amount of people that just go past you, and then after about mile 2 or 3, you're absolutely exhausted because you're trying to keep up with the pace that they're setting. And it was, honestly, that was the worst thing, because when I got to mile 5 or 6 and you do the turn back around to come all the way back, and you realise you've got to run all that again, and I was just exhausted. So
and Bournemouth's tough because although it's flattish because of the prom, if the wind's in the wrong direction, you basically have half of the distance with the wind in your face.
Yeah,
So
so's the Great South Run though. South Sea Seafront's quite bad for that. But I'm a fan of.
South Sea's bad for a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm not dissing South Sea. I didn't do that.
Episode 5.
South Sea.
That's the theme of next episode. But no, I do like running, and it is down to mindset. It is that I'm going to keep going. I'm going to get to the next lamppost. I'm going to get to the next, it's all internal. Whenever you're running, that's what I find.
Well, isn't that what like Arnold Schwarzenegger said, didn't he? He said like people do like 10 reps, but he would just keep going until he just couldn't lift, wasn't it? So it's pushing 1 rep more, isn't it? It's that pushing yourself to the limit, isn't it? Of, it is brain game, like you said, Alan. Absolute mindset.
So Emily and I, if we're going to go into mindset, we've done a couple of like bits of stuff online, vlogs and whatnot, about basically we did one. If you can run a business, you can run an ultra marathon. It was the principle of it, because we'd both done ultra marathon stuff and we now run businesses, and it really is the same mindset. Like for those who don't run a business, I don't mean this in a funny way, but trust us, every day you have to get up and get on with it, right? There is no one there coaching you. There's no clock in, clock out machine. It is literally on us. And when you get trolled, or you don't take a booking, or you don't convert, or anything little dip, it literally, you try your hard, or an unsubscriber to your newsletter or your YouTube chat. I know it's like every single little thing is a little knock, but you have to kind of get your head past it. And I don't think business, especially small business owners, if I'm being brutally honest, solopreneurs and people like that, I don't think they realise how mentally tough they are, because it's hard work. Let's be honest about this, and it's so therefore that we've always gone on about, if you can run a business, you could run an ultra marathon. It's the same thought processes. You just have to. I'll tell you what. It's kind of side story. There was I went to this talk from this polar explorer. Oh, I want to call her Felicity Aston. That was her name, and basically it was called Just Get Out of the Tent. Something like Just Get Out of the Tent. All she said every day when she was on the South Pole for 3 months, kind of day in, day out. I think it was solo female. And she said, all I had to do was get out of the tent. That was it. My goal was to get out of the tent. I had no other goals, because there was no point me laying in bed going, I've got to do 30 miles today or 30 kilometres or whatever. My goal was, I just have to get out of the tent. And it's the same for a business owner and for anyone for a run. You've really just got to get up and do it.
Well, it's that small steps thing, isn't it? I think the first step is your step to it, and then the second step is momentum, isn't it? You've got to make that first step to then create the momentum. The thing I was going to say there, Alan, was about the idea that I've done this again. I did this last week, didn't I? I think you were talking about something then, Alan, and then when you went into your story, I've just forgot what I was going to say. So ignore me. It was really good as well. I'll come back to it later on.
So question, so fitness isn't just about running then. What is anyone doing anything at the moment? Like I'm a big believer in being active as well as fitness. Is anyone doing anything at the moment?
Yeah. So I've started to do Joe Wicks again. I mean, the main kind of thing for me is put it into simple terms, is burning more than you consume, isn't it? That's the idea of fitness. If you can do that, then you go into like a calorie deficit, and that's how you burn. I'm drinking a lot more water now, so 4 litres, but there is a main purpose for this. So I'm happy to share this, because by the time this podcast goes out, it'll be global news. As you guys will know, a couple of weeks ago, I'm having a baby.
Whee!
Well, not me. Sorry, not me. Danielle is having a baby.
You sure?
We are. Yeah, I do feel like it.
Is this
Yeah.
what's the
world's
Arnold
first.
Schwarzenegger pregnant one, Junior or something?
Well, saying that, you know what? We think we don't know what it's going to be. It's only at 12 weeks, but we do think it's a little girl because Danielle's lost an incredible amount of weight, and I've put it on. And the old wives' tale is that if they lose weight and you gain it, then you might be having a little girl. But anyway, that's my main driving purpose. But there's also I'm gonna add a serious tone here now. Yeah, serious tone. This is serious news, but I'll probably start laughing. I don't think I'm going to make it to 40.
Why?
Oh, that was a deep pause, wasn't it? So seriously,
what do we say to that?
Well, true,
nice
true.
knowing you.
Congratulations.
yeah, congratulations. Yeah. So I have incredibly high blood pressure. I've had it for years. It's just hereditary, and probably because I had a bad diet, I think, as a kid. But now that purpose of having a child, I'm seriously starting to think, oh shite, I really want to see this child grow up. So I'll tell you why. So I have high blood pressure. I've had it for a long time. We got it diagnosed when I had to buy a house 5 years ago. So to get insurance, we had to get tested. And I had my blood pressure done. And at the time, I think it was like 175 over 90, which was about a blood pressure of probably like an 80-year-old, which is very scary. And they couldn't work it out why. They did say, Ricky, have you got Wyco syndrome, which is the syndrome where it shoots up in front of a nurse, but it was a man and I wasn't very attracted to him. So it wasn't anything to do with that. But
That is terrible.
yeah, I know. Apparently it's a syndrome, Wyco syndrome. It's like when you just get nervous in the doctors, it just shoots up. But anyway, for the last 5 years, I've actually been, and I still am now to this day, on medication. I have to take 2 tablets a day, quite strong tablets to reduce it. But so I was called in a couple of weeks ago just to get the test to check up. And my blood pressure on that test was 150 over 85. And that's with 2 tablets controlling that to that level, which is terrible. It's embarrassing, really, and I feel very ashamed of myself for it. I can't help it, but I have obviously had bad habits with eating shit in the past, and I know Matt's a big fan. I've seen him on some of his videos. Monster energy drinks. I shouldn't even have them, but I have had them in the past. So my gain now for this fitness is the idea of thinking,
Right, calling me out for drinking Monster.
sorry. I saw it on one of your Instagram posts, Matt.
He's put it on you. This is on him, and he's dragged you in to take some of the flack.
Yeah, Matt's got such a great Instagram. I love his work, and I was like, I might have a Monster. But we'll come back to this subject in a minute about placebo effect as well in a second. But seriously now, I'm starting to think. Remember a couple of weeks ago when I said, I'm feeling a little bit tubby, guys. I'm feeling a bit out of breath. Well, shortness of breath is linked to high blood pressure, and I had a terrible migraine
altitude.
yesterday. And altitude, yeah, exactly. So I'm quite seriously worried now, thinking about if I've got the blood pressure of like a 60, 70-year-old at 32, it's not good, really. And I shouldn't laugh about it. And I need to really lose a couple of pounds just to kind of get into the comfortable state, and also sort my life out.
Have you done that before, Ricky? Yeah. Have you dropped a huge amount of weight before?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? I feel good. I feel great. Like, I don't see it as like a big problem. I think sometimes when I stand on the side, it looks quite big. I'm quite a stocky lad anyway. But my legs and arms are fantastic. I look like Chris Hoy down here. Yeah. So I've got like tree trunk legs. I've got great legs.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Danielle says I've got great legs.
That can go on the OnlyFans site.
Yes, that is, yes. I've got size 12 feet, everyone, as well, for listening. But yeah, so, but it's all on the main bit, and this is the worst bit. And if you didn't see it, the other night on TV, there was a documentary. I think if you go onto BBC iPlayer, they've done the world's first, when they cut people, is it
Autopsy?
Yeah, go check it out. They've done it where they've done it to someone that's died of being fat, and when they cut open the belly, you just see this huge thick layer of the yellow fat, and that made me go, oh my God, these are the most important organs, and this is where all my fat is. This isn't good. So yeah, that's my purpose at the minute. I'm trying to think.
So when you dropped loads of weight before, did your blood pressure improve?
It did a little bit. Yeah, it did a little bit.
Because this was another angle that I wanted to bring onto the whole fitness theme, and this is why it was related to the COVID vaccine that I had yesterday, and it was this sense of mortality. And as we're getting older, Alan's probably the oldest on the podcast. He's 2 years older than me.
True story fact. Yeah. 10 years older than Ricky, 2 years older than you.
But as we get older, because when we were in our 20s, we didn't really care. We were driving into haystacks in Nissan Micras, call back to episode 1. And as we get older, obviously we mature and become more sensible. But does death and our own mortality become a factor? And you've just touched on it there, Ricky, I think. But because I'm about to start a fitness regime again. I mean, I'm a yo-yo exerciser. I exercise, drop loads of weight, then think, I can have a beer now. Have loads of beer.
I want some chocolate.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know what, Matt? Here's an interesting point. I think that the thing is, for me, the damage has been done. My arteries are clogged. They must be clogged. That's why the blood pressure is, and obviously diet is not great. But I think I'm going to be on this medication for the rest of my life unless I can get myself into such a fit state. I think unless I get like a six-pack and proper tone and just it's all healthy food and all that, I don't know whether it will. But I think that's what I need to find out. I need to see if I can drop the weight and start getting fit, because ideally I don't want to be on medication. I don't want to be that, that, no offense to anyone, but that the parent, the dad that's got an oxygen mask on because he just can't breathe around the playground for his kid. It's like, oh shit, so bit of a wake up call. I've got responsibility coming, haven't I?
Yeah, right. So I need to pick you up on a couple of things here, Ricky. Right. So I'm not dismissing the fact you have high blood pressure, far from it. But there was a couple of other little nuances there but I think you can kind of take control a bit more of, right? Yeah. So you go and find out. That's what I'm not going to tell you, but go and find out, right? Go and find if your arteries are the reason and the cause, and if they are irreparable, that's very different.
We just go, hey,
you won't know until but you won't know until you find out. And it felt like there was a period of generalising in what you were just saying, rather than actual factual 101 or what black and white. So perhaps the only reason I'm saying go and check it out is because I don't want to say anything in case it's wrong, because this will be out for the world. But I do believe if you think you're going to die before you're 40, you probably will die before
it's a belief,
you're 40.
Isn't it? Yeah. Well, I didn't think I'd make it to 30 actually, so I've passed that belief, so that's good. But no, I shouldn't say that. It was a horrible thing. I hope to live a long life, but I think I now, like what Matt said there, I've now realised that, you know what, I probably should start taking responsibility. I'm not a kid anymore,
And this is really important, though. It's not about having a six-pack. It's not about being able to run a marathon. It's about being able to live the life you want to lead, and being healthy. Because we know Laurie, mindful eating coach, heads up. We're like, you've got to find that balance, haven't you? It's about balancing the exercise. And I'm a bit of a, funnily enough, I'm a bit of a yo-yo fitness person. So not done it. I ran over the winter, not done anything for a couple of months, and I'm now doing 100 press-ups a day in May. So I like short little challenges. So we've got friends who he sadly passed away, had a brain tumour, and they were raising some money to support the child and the wife that were, left behind. And is that left behind? Whatever. And so I quite like doing little challenges. So I was doing like 1,000 of my giant tire flips in a day, and and what else did I do? Running every day, and all these things, because it's the consistency aspect. I think the worst thing we can all do is actually yo-yo in this situation, but doing a little and often, or consistently, is got to be the better thing, and then cutting out the odd hot cross bun.
Well, that's the thing for me. When I had that blood pressure done 5 years ago, they said that blood pressure, you are at a risk of having a stroke. At that high, I was like, oh shit, bloody hell, which then makes you think, if I did have a stroke, not all the time, not many people come back from it okay, do they? They lose, obviously, control in their arms, they lose facial control. So it's a big wake-up call.
That'd be career defining for you as well, if you've lost control of your
exactly
fingers.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do your magic if you had no feeling in your left hand side of your body.
That's it. Yeah, it's a good job I'm right-handed. Wait, no, sorry, that's not funny. That's not funny at all, is it? No.
As Ricky Gervais says, as Ricky Gervais says, it's our choice to make the joke. If people wish to be offended by it, it's up to them.
And I meant right-handed with magic, just for everybody. That's what I meant. But no, you are right.
You're a liar.
Should we segue into this? I've got a question here for both Matt and Alan in terms of placebo effect. Because I know, like Laurie's talked about before, where people they feel like they have to do like a 30-minute workout. They'll go have some binging, and then they feel like they have to have a 30-minute workout, although that might not necessarily be the thing. For me, with the placebo of like the Monster thing, I think that by having a Monster energy drink, I'm going to like feel brighter and, oh great, I get some great ideas from it because it happened in the past. And therefore, I don't think it really does anything. It just looks great, and there I want to take it. So what do you think about placebos in terms of fitness?
I need a... Sorry, go on, Matt.
No, go on. So
no, because, I don't know. That I was going to say, I don't know. Go on, Matt. And I interrupted you to say that, so I apologise. After you, Matt.
To be honest, I sometimes feel that exercise is a placebo as well, and that's a strange statement to make. I realise, because sometimes I could justify having lots of beer in front of the telly, watching boxing, and thinking, I'm going to get that fit. I'm going to dedicate my life to doing white collar boxing and rise up through the ranks and all that type of stuff. I used to do it with football when I was playing football, and strangely, you never, like, I'm sure Alan at 42. When was the last time you went to a nightclub? This is a big segue.
Probably 5-6 years, something like that. And I don't actually wish to go to one. I wouldn't know what to do in that social situation.
But 5 or 6 years ago, when you exited that nightclub for the last time, you never thought that would be your last time in a nightclub, did you?
No, I didn't. And that's the second time in 2 days someone has said that you will not know it's the last time. Da 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 da. And how interesting is that? Sorry. I wouldn't know.
And that's what I felt about football. So football, the last time I played football was probably 3 years ago, and I would love to play football again, and I want to get fit enough to play football again. But at some point, I will have played my last match. And it's I don't know where I'm going with this, but it was this, so the placebo effect of exercise. I feel that I can, if I went for a run in the morning or in the afternoon, I am qualifying myself to then sit in front of the telly and drink beer because I've offset those calories. It doesn't work that way, because there's a lot more calories in beer than there are in a 20-minute HIIT workout or a 20-minute run session. But I qualify it in my head that is acceptable. And equally, I will also starve myself. I'm quite a fan of not eating breakfast and then not eating till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because I know I'm going to have a glass of wine in the evening. I'm quite a fan of that as well. And I know that's probably not a healthy way to live my life, but it allows me to have the right amount of calories for my lifestyle, so that I don't just pile it all on. Because I could have breakfast every day. There's a bakery van that comes around and sells sausage sandwiches, and I'd be out of breath just walking up the stairs with it.
Yeah. I am a proper eater. I know, literally, if it's there, I'll destroy it. Right, I literally destroy it. But what I've always tried to do is just remain as active. Like, I don't sit down. Like, literally, this is probably the longest I'll sit down for a period of time. You know, I'm just always on the go. And I guess it's. But funny enough, I have this thing going back to this kind of this. If you can run a business, you can run an ultra marathon. I believe it's not just the same mindset.
Alan, are you holding a spatula?
It's a kid's spatula. I've got 3 kids who are under the age of 8. I have a kid's spatula on the desk.
For our OnlyFans and Patreon, Alan will be handing out signed spatulas.
Sorry, Alan. Sorry.
That's all right. But I think it's this, right. So I think not only do you have to go at it with the same mindset, but I'm a big believer in, right. So I literally eat all day. Okay, from about 7:30 to about 7:30 for pretty much 12 hours of the day. I will be putting stuff in. I try to make sure it's the right stuff, so I will make sure there's a lot of fruit in there and everything else, because I quite like it. But I will also eat lots of bread. I'm a massive bread product and butter guy. We have real butter and everything else. But I'll get to my point in a minute. I also, a bit like Ricky, have shed loads of water and everything else. We drink alcohol. But I'm this big believer in right. So I need to get a bit serious, not as serious as Ricky did, but I'll get a bit serious and bring it back quite quickly. Nothing wrong with serious at all. But life can be tough at times, right? And it actually can take quite a lot out of your body when, with all the rigors and whatever the word is, I can't think of the other word, of day-to-day life, running around after work and kids and everything else. So you have to treat your body in the same way. So you have to stay hydrated. You have to eat food. You have to get your sleep. The same as if you were going to run an ultra marathon or any other kind of physical kind of exercise. Adventure is what we like to say. So when I treat it the same way, I feel I can just keep going and achieve so much more. So my challenge with what you're suggesting, Matt, is let's just say, loading up your calories to one part of the day, which I get, by the way, because I want to sit on the sofa shoveling crisps in as well, especially those jalapeno and cheese ones. I can't think who makes them.
I like the KFC, the Ridgey. Have you seen the KFC ones that are now out? They are, mwah.
I'm going to try them. But I think you have to treat it in the same way. You know, you can't, right, to achieve things you've never achieved before, you need to do things you've never done before. And that's got to be in life, you know. If you want to achieve this, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. And for this situation, I think it's about making sure you've got the food and drink and water on board.
Can I just ask very quickly, because I've got it into my head, what's the strangest food combination that you like? Because mine, whenever like when I was talking about crisps just then, I'm a big fan of eating crisps with chocolate. I like eating the sour, crunchy taste of crisps, but then sucking on dairy milk straight afterwards. And I'm also a fan of getting Pringles and dipping them in Philadelphia and just scraping them with Philadelphia and then eating them. Truly unhealthy. And I'm also a huge fan of banana and jam sandwiches. Just to put it out there. I don't know what your...
I don't know what my weirdest is. I don't think I'm that. I eat. There's not much I won't eat. Like literally, I'm trying to think. I don't know. A bit of tuna. I don't like tuna. Other than that, there's not much I won't eat.
I can't eat baked beans.
No, I can't.
You can't.
Really?
You losers. Why can you not eat baked beans?
I can eat baked beans, not tuna though. Can't do tuna. The smell of it
tuna's
makes me
horrible,
gag.
isn't it?
Yeah. Crisp sandwich. It's not really weird though, but crisp sandwich with sauce on it. Danielle said,
Sauce?
"You have sauce on your crisps." Yeah. See, my mum used to have like a plate of crisps.
It's a northern thing, Matt.
Yeah, she taught me as a kid. This is probably why I've got bad habits in it. Thanks, Mum. Yeah, a plate of crisps with some tomato sauce on the side. Dip it in. Beautiful.
No, right, Ricky, you've talked about these bad habits as a kid, mate. You grew up in the 90s. I grew up in the late 70s and 80s. Right, the 80s can always school the 90s on bad eating habits.
Well, you know what, right? When I went to school in year 11, pretty much every day we used to go to the chip shop and I used to have a chip butty. I think that's what's done the damage to me now. But because I used to skateboard and as a teenager, I was skinny as anything. It just went off. So I think that belief was like, oh, I'll carry that into my later life.
I don't think you could have consumed that much as a kid, but it's now having this effect. I'm obviously. I just like to point out, I'm not a nutritionist, dietitian, or doctor in any way, shape, or form, but I just can't buy into.
There are presumably you've seen the images of Gok Wan before he became thin.
Yeah.
So have you not seen these, Alan?
I'm going to Google it.
Get on Google. Gok Wan was huge before he became famous. How did he become famous? Was it like a show off your body?
It was
a
TV show, wasn't it? He did a TV show. Was it Naked? Something about looking good naked, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he must have come from somewhere. But you know what? It's like
he's a magician and a DJ as well. Actually, don't know if you know that.
Is he?
I knew he was a DJ.
I'm waiting for a punchline here.
Sorry, yeah.
Can I just point out that do you know what? I don't like the media, but that one of the titles here is "Former Fatty Gok Wan is a hypocrite." Really? Is that?
Is it the Daily Mail?
And I don't know actually. Cranky in the mouth at WordPress.com. I don't know.
But then to take this back to boxing as well, Ricky Hatton would always balloon up to huge amounts of weight in between fights. Tyson Fury, probably the most well-known, 20-odd stone, and now back to his fighting weight of around 17, 18 stone. So I believe that short-term weight gain... And who's the outspoken female that was on The Apprentice? Katie... What's her name?
Holmes?
Kate Hopkins.
Kate Hopkins.
Kate Holmes is like Hollywood A-list married to Tom Cruise.
Kate Hopkins, actually, because she was so against these weight gaining and weight losing, I'm big boned, I can't lose this weight. She actually challenged herself to put all the weight on, become very, very large, and then prove that actually through exercise and strict dieting, you can reduce back down to your normal body weight, or what is considered normal. Because there is no normal, as Alan quite rightly says quite a lot of times.
Well, Matt, it comes down to choices, doesn't it? It's all about choices.
I'm not saying that that's your choice. It's clear. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that your childhood probably won't have affected you as much as you likely to think.
Yeah. But it's down to two things.
Based on nothing, I agree with Matt.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's the pain of discipline, isn't it? The pain of regret. You know, you think about the diets. People start a diet, and after a week, they give up because they just think, "Oh, what's the point?" But it's that compound effect, isn't it? Time after time after time is when you see the actual weight shift. Like with Joe Wicks, I did the 90-day plan about 3 or 4 years ago. Lost about 2 stone. Fantastic. In the second month, well, he splits it into three. The first month you shed fat. The second month you put muscle as well as shedding fat. And then three is like a kind of massive, you shift the rest of it. So the first week you lose about 7 or 8 pounds because it's a lot of it's just water and you cut out, you kind of go like cold turkey. But in the second month, because you are doing weights as well as HIIT workouts, I lost like half a pound in 4 weeks. To most people, they go, oh, fuck this, I'm not doing this. I've just spent 4 weeks on this diet, and then they give up, don't they? But it's the bigger impact, isn't it?
But also, if you're growing muscle is so your body size and shape should have been changing dramatically, although your weight's not changing. You know, because Joe Wicks would say you shouldn't be weighing yourself anyway.
Well, it's about
lifestyle change.
You do it every 4 weeks, so every quarter.
And don't you? Isn't Joe Wicks where you have to take a photo?
Yes.
In your pants.
I've got those photos if we want that for our OnlyFans account. I'll send
they'll be on OnlyFans,
I tell you what, and when you do those photos, I've got a photo of the original time I did it, the before and after, and it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. It makes you feel so good. Yeah. I'll have to send it to you.
In fact, what we'll do is on the podcast blog, I've got before and after photos of when I've done fitness challenges before, and I weighed something like 17 stone at the start, and then afterwards I've got close to a 6-pack. So I'm quite happy to share those if everybody else is.
And I don't think I've got any before and after photos.
Have you?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Bit worried about it being on the internet, but maybe.
I mean, we're coming
to Joe Wick's team has probably been laughing at it and looking at it the last couple of years.
Yeah, but your life's on the internet. There's no worries putting a topless picture.
Well, you know what, Alan?
Blank out your nipples or something.
Yeah, I talked about Hitler last week, so fuck it, let's just do it. Let's get it out there, shouldn't we?
And cocaine taking.
Yeah. Yes,
have you both heard of 75 Hard?
Excuse me?
Have you heard of?
Is this OnlyFans again?
No. So 75 Hard is a program. It's not aimed at fitness program. A program towards fitness. It's to do with mindset and consistency and sticking to something. So for 75 days straight, you have to do a specific amount of tasks each day. So you have to exercise twice a day for 45 minutes. One of those exercises has to be outdoors. You have to drink a certain amount of water each day. You have to read 10 pages of a book each day, and you have to take a photo of yourself in the mirror. So you have to take a selfie every single day. But you tick it off. So it's only 75 days. It's a guy called Andy Frisella. He's got an amazing podcast about mindset and all that type of stuff. But 75 Hard, you just tick off the days. But the transformations that people get is not just through their fitness, but it's also that commitment aspect that they're committing to doing these tasks every single day. Throw in the fact that you're reading 10 pages of a book every single day. You're also leveling up your knowledge. So it's not just a fitness thing. It's also to do with your mindset and improving self-improvement.
This is like very similar to the Miracle Morning, although it's you get to choose obviously what you do. It's that whole process of reading, affirmations, doing some exercise. You fuel yourself up for the day, and it makes your mindset fantastic. Yeah.
Coming back to fitness a little. Right, sorry, Matt. Apologies, I dismissed that more than I actually meant to. Funnily, right, 2 parts on that. One is, what's the thing? It takes 30 days to create a habit or something, doesn't it? If you do it for 30 days, it becomes a habit. So I can see that. But could you do that? So I think I would struggle to do that because I can obviously achieve stuff, whatever you want to, whatever we specify that's been achieved in the past in our lives. But I do find repetition extremely difficult. So what I always say is we like structure but not repetition. So when you get these people come back to business ownership for a second, who are like, on a Monday I do this, on a Monday afternoon that, Tuesday that, like week in, week out, I get the consistency, I'm well on board, but that 3 weeks in and I'd be scratching my eyes out because I don't like repetition. So I have to kind of find a structure to follow, which is why when I run or I'm training, I'll go, I'll try and mix it up a bit like dodgeball, mix it up, keep it fresh and real. But B, sort of sometime, I can't even do that at the same point. Sometime I'll go, right, I'm going to do this, and this week and different times. But the idea of following an exact training plan, I would struggle. Now, the flip side is because of the way my head works, I'm then going, well, if I can't do that, how would I achieve anything else? So because of the way my head works, so I do find all of that quite interesting. How are you guys with repetition to achieve results?
I am the same as you, Alan. I like spontaneity, and if I was P90X is another one that I've done. P90X, have you done the home workout stuff? He's got a ripped body, hasn't he, for his age? But I used to do P90X, and by the week 3, I get bored. It's exactly the same as if I don't know if you've ever worked with any online coaches, but online coaches will set you the same exercises for 4 weeks straight. By the end of week 2, I'm bored. I want to mix it up, and I want to just go and do leg day or whatever else is. Look at my dogs jumping on the sofa behind me. They're taking advantages. But I want to.
Podcasters, there's a dog jumping on the sofa behind me.
The listeners can now see the dogs. So I'm the same as you, Alan. I have to have it mixed up, and I'm the same in business. I have to not do the same tasks. I mean, I do have to do certain things every single week, but I like to try and mix it up.
I think you can. I agree, Matt. I think that you can become a different person. When I first did Joe Wicks, you kind of stopped being social because you'd be invited out to meals and be like, I can't do that. I can't have that. Do you want to go to McDonald's? No, I can't. I'm on Joe Wicks. And it's just like, oh, come on, Ricky, can't you just be alive for a minute? Have a beer or something. No, I can't. And I think because you're so solidly stuck into that, you kind of turn into a different person. I think I turned a bit boring because I just couldn't go out for a meal. Hey, Rick, do you want to come out for a meal? Yeah, I'll come, but I can, I'll bring my own food. I mean, when I was travelling around the country at the time, I used to take my own meals that I had to prepare because Joe gives you like a certain ingredients. And I remember going to a hotel with my little Tupperware box and say, can you put this in the microwave for me, please? What the hell,
Hey, Ricky, failing to plan is planning to fail. We all know that.
It. Yeah. But I think you're right, Matt. I'm the same. I get bored very, very easy. Very easy.
But you know what the counter argument is? What, you can't do 90 days, which clearly you did do, Ricky, by the way, but you can't do 90 days to change your life. What is 90 days in the global spectrum of the world? It's nothing.
Well, my mates take the piss out of me. They say, well, it's not a very sustainable program, Rick, is it? If you ballooned again. Well, it is very sustainable, but it's just that I like living life and I like eating shit. So I just started.
But then that's where, last week, you went out on your skateboard, didn't you, on Friday afternoon?
Yeah.
And that's for me, the key is stay active. Stay active is the key.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Are you just making sure you've got a bit of cardio, a bit of exercise every day, and less the calorie deficit, isn't it? Yeah, balance it out. Yeah.
See, sorry, go on, Matt. You look
no. I was just going to say that resonates with me because I was going to say that I'm a obsessive. So I will either do it all, and I'll have to do it to the if I have to do 75 days, I'll do the 75 days. If I'm going to give up alcohol for a month, I'll have to do that month. I can't just go, it's the 30th. I'm obsessive. I have to do it all or nothing. And that applies to everything in my life. Like, I have to do a podcast. I have to do a full season. I have to do all of this. So I get it. And that's what probably scares me a little bit, because if I commit to doing something, I'll commit to doing it. But if I don't commit to doing it, then I'm not going to do it at all. So it's all or nothing. It's the same when I'm drinking. If I go to the pub, I'll either get wankered or I'll come home sober.
That happened to me, Matt, when we did Joe Wicks again 2 years after. But the first year we paid for it, and the second year we got it for free because he was doing a new program. And because there was no commitment of money coming out my bank, I went off it. Just stopped doing it. The first time I knew the money was coming out the month, so it was that motivation of I've got to agree to this. So it comes back to that mindset again, doesn't it? For me, it was that motivation, and it was gone. So I got fat again.
It's got to be mindset, and Ricky, that goes back to your sort of. I'm not suggesting all of your health stuff is mindset, but from the way you were talking to us, I would suggest there was an element of mindset to how you are currently thinking. So,
Well, I used to use. I don't know if you guys are the same in terms of success. When I used to go out and perform in those days, if I had a really good time, I'd say, right, we're having a Chinese tonight. And I used to link success to let's go out, let's have a good old meal tonight. And that's why I think I got
That's what they say.
I do that every day.
So do we, Matt. If we've had a good month, we get champagne or whatever.
It
starts with as a kid, Rick. It starts with as a kid, right?
Yeah.
So when should we get a treat? We've had a good time, and you go and get chocolate. So that conditioning. It's all about social conditioning and kind of nurture, or rather, nurture, not nature. So all of that, it all starts in our childhood. Absolutely.
It's very funny because you say that, because we've got just up in that cupboard there, we've got this. We had an egg tray thing, but what we do is we collect all the corks from any special occasion. And when we moved into this house, probably 3 months ago, we got those corks out, and we've got We bought a new car. Oh, let's have champagne. We moved into a new house. Let's have champagne. I got my new job. Let's have champagne. We got a new contract. Let's have champagne. And we've got probably 20, 30 corks up there.
Yeah. It's true though, but the problem is, right, no good story starts with I stayed in and had a salad. No good story starts with I stayed in and had a salad.
Yeah, I've just secured a £1 million deal in my business. Oh, great. How are you celebrating? Piece of kale.
Staying in and have a salad, yeah. Spinach, frittata or frittata, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I can't even think what it's called.
This is a perfect time for us to segue into what we do on the end of every single podcast. Is a takeaway? Are we taking away one thing or three things? I'm going to take away one thing from this. Ricky's doing one. So I'll let you go. I'll let you go first, Ricky, if you've got.
Oh, one thing. Interesting, isn't it? A smooth segue as well, Matt. I will say that. Very smooth.
Appreciate that.
Smooth like ice. My takeaway. I think it's just about. It's choices, isn't it? It's all about choices. I mean, like we've discussed and Laurie said. You can have like naughty stuff like chocolate and all those wonderful things, but I think you just got to have a balance of a healthy lifestyle, making sure that you're getting some exercise and that you're balancing your calories and all that. Although it shouldn't be numbers or anything like that, you can still have a good life. You've just got to make sure you still exercise as well. Yeah, that's mine.
Yeah. So mine, as I'm going to go second, so I would have actually said something like Ricky's, but because Ricky said it, I'm going to come up with something different. And mine's going to be like, look, we're all different. This has nothing to do with fitness. This is about life. We're all different. And the sooner you realise that, the easier things will be for you. You know, the sooner you just realise we're all different. Everyone is different. It's crazy. So, that's it. That's mine. Just remember we're all different.
And I think I'm going to say one thing as well. So I want you to also think of one thing that you're going to challenge yourself with on a fitness basis in the next couple of weeks. I want you to think of that while I give you my takeaway, which is all down to mindset. There is nothing that you cannot do. And I'm almost 18 stone now. So if an 18 stone man, which I am now, I'll make this commitment that I will now find a half marathon and I will run another half marathon in 2021. That's my commitment. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. And there is nothing to hold you back. So go.
Good one.
Give me your commitments. Come on, Ricky.
All right.
Yours should be to go to the doctors and bloody have your test to see if your arteries are actually clogged.
Proper investigating.
Well, the last time I went, I've just got to keep reviewing it over the next 3 months, and then they're going to review and see what happens. But on my vision board, I have put a picture of a blood pressure ticket that says 120/80, I think it is, which is a healthy one. That's the long-term goal. But my commitment, I'm 17.5 stone, Matt, as well, because my big.
Are you two? Weight's irrelevant, but are you both honestly 17.5?
I am 17.5 stone. Yeah.
How tall are you?
6'2".
6'2".
So I'm 6'2". Are we all 6'2"?
Yeah.
And we didn't know that.
I didn't know.
Sorry. So we did not know that we are all 6'2". I didn't know that.
I thought you were. Do you know what? I thought you two were a bit smaller. Actually,
it's not one of the questions
on social media.
It's not one of the first questions that you ask somebody. Hi, Alan. What do you do? I run a yellow tuxedo. How tall are you?
Yes, 6'2", 185.
But on the same as you, Alan, that genuinely excites me when I find out things like that. Are you really 6'2"? Are you from Peterborough?
I know. I'm blown away. Like we met these people for the first time in over a year this week, and couldn't get over how short they all were because Emily's 5'11" and I'm 6'2". So and everyone else was like 4'1". That's what they all see.
And how much do you weigh, Alan?
Yeah.
Just because we're.
I am more than happy. I was just working it out in stone because I try to speak modern language like centimeters and kilos for the kids. So I'm 95.5 kilos, which is just over 15 stone. So, but I like to be just under 14 stone. That's my kind of exercise rate. But my challenge, well, I'm doing 100 press ups a day in May. I'm like actually doing that. I can't do 100 straight out. I do sort of sets of 20 throughout the day. I don't know what my challenge is going to be. You want me? Can I just not continue that? And
just continue that. Just do that.
I'm going to do that this month. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to smash this month, which I've already committed to in my head anyway, so I'm all right with it.
And I should say, I'm going to try to get into the 17 stone, 6 pounds in the next couple of weeks because that will make me feel good. Yeah, there you go.
Can I just say, I would not have guessed either. I know we need to finish this now. I would not have guessed, but either of you were like 17, 18 stone or whatever you just said. So.
I can't say I'm a tall guy anymore, can I? Because we're all tall, but I'm quite a big stocky guy. Yeah.
basically, though, on our OnlyFans, we're now entering into the kind of BBM. Is BBM the equivalent of BBW? You know, that's what I'm thinking.
Big,
we've got a niche. We're in.
Hang on, I might be able to show you my legs. Hang on, here we go. I might be able to show you my legs.
Save it for the OnlyFans, man.
There you go. Look, I've got thin. Look, great legs. Look.
Ricky, I still don't think you must have a six-pack underneath all that. Then, it must be a lot of muscle.
I thought, to be honest, I think I know we have to finish this podcast, and I know we're rambling on now, but I genuinely, that's my belief as well, that I have a lot of muscle underneath this body.
Russell, the love muscle.
I have this conversation with Tina as well about six packs, right? Because there are different types of six packs in the world. If you have a look at, this is completely random, but if you have a look at different types of six packs, sometimes men have very small, tight abs, very, very small and compact. But some men, like Anthony Joshua, will have wide, broad, spread out. This is weird, but I believe that I have wide, spread out abs, which allows me to then carry all of this weight quite successfully. And that's why I weigh so much. That's what's in my head. If I just shed maybe a couple of kilo, I'd look like Anthony Joshua. I'm not going to lie.
I think you'd be like twin brothers, basically.
Yes.
Right? Can I? It's not my duty to finish, but I've got right, because we're all 6'2". I kind of feel I need to know to the centimetre, to the millimetre, right? But I'm happy. I don't want to challenge the fact we're all the same height because I really like that. But my challenge between now and next week podcast is as millimetre perfect measurements for our height. First thing in the morning. So
I'm
when you're
1.89, Alan. I can tell you that now. 1.89.
Well, I'm gonna have to do. I don't know. I've been 6'2" since I was 16 years old, and I still use that. So now I'm gonna
to the centimetre and millimetre. That'll be
this artwork is going to be brilliant.
to the nearest half.
The artwork. We should all be the same level, shouldn't we?
Yeah. Do we need to rename this the 189 crew or something like that? I don't know. Team 189. Yeah. I've got a mate who's 6'5", and it was 2.2 yards, and his business name was 220 yards or something like that. I quite like that.
Do you know, Alan, I don't know if it's just so. Emily's taller than you, isn't she?
No, she's short.
Oh,
3 inches.
I don't know why, but I always had this perception that you were a small man.
No, you know why, right? So this is our office. For those who are on podcast now, I'm now pointing around, right? So I'm recording this in our office. I can't go too far away from the microphone. And we have a big black leather chair that when one of us is working, we sit on. When we are both on Zoom or recording, we have an up and down stool like this that I'm on. Right, and Emily sits on a solid wooden, because I give her the least comfortable one, obviously, solid wooden stool. So she's always slightly higher than me when she's on that stool. That's probably where it comes from.
Right, interesting. Well, I can't wait for us to meet. That photo is going to be brilliant, isn't it? Just us three, same height, 3 men.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
On that note, I just want to point everyone to the blog, point everyone to the YouTube channel, point everyone to the show notes. Leave us some comments and some 5-star reviews because that would be nice. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.